Cheerio and welcome into TexAgs Rewind presented by Specs in our Rollo Insurance Studio at SEC Media Days 2025, the Monday edition of the show. By the way, our SEC Media Days coverage brought to you by La Casa Tequila. Great show today. It was a little worrisome. If you talk to Nick, like at one point, like, I don't know what guests we're going to have. We're going to have nobody. And then we had guest after guest after guest. Cade Bickham back at the mothership. But what was your favorite part of the program?
Ooh, I think that's a tough question. There was a lot of good stuff on today's show. I think Cole Kublik, he's not on the rewind, but he was fantastic at the end of the show today.
That makes a lot of sense to talk about him on the rewind that's not on the rewind. Well, who else is on the rewind?
Well, we have Josh Pate. He was in early. SEC Mike, Jake Crain, and Trey Wallace. It was a banger show.
Banger show. By the way, Billy Lucci called us, but we'll have him for a recap at some point today, and he'll be on the show all week long. It's the rewind. Check it. So this is the question I asked Obi a moment ago. And I'm going to ask you, what is the appropriate amount of time for expectations to make a playoff for a coach or a program? For instance, an upper echelon perceived program, LSU, A&M. Is it 3 years? Is it 4 years? I'm thinking Brian Kelly in this conversation.
Yeah, for Kelly, it's a couple of years in. For Hugh Freeze, it's 3 years in. So a lot of it has to do with what you inherited, which I don't think many people choose to look at it that way. I think most people choose to look at it as, well, here are the resources they have. Elko deals with this. Elko, since he inherits a lot of resource, everybody thinks, well, it doesn't matter if you start where Kalen DeBoer is starting or Hugh Freeze is starting. Well, those two started in different galaxies, right, in terms of their entry point. Likewise with like Billy Napier when he took over Florida. I think people who understood how to assess the situation understood there's probably a little bit that needs to be torn down still, but when it gets done, it'll be all the way down to the studs, and they're going to have to, even if he knows what he's doing, they're going to have to build it from scratch. So with Kelly, it's kind of a mixed bag because like some people around LSU will tell you, we left a really good situation there. Others will say, you left some talented athletes there, but in terms of culture, it rotted a little bit. My answer to that is, well, okay, take the first year and do whatever you need to do. But in the modern talent acquisition era, I think second year is when they reasonably start to expect some things. The third year, you should be at cruising altitude. You should be, I'm not saying you need to win a title by year 3 or anything, but when I look at you, I should have no doubt. I shouldn't be saying, well, give them a little more time in year 3. It's just in this day and age, there's no way.
Understanding the demands and the expectation and the history at LSU is Brian Kelly. Let's fast forward to this time SEC next year. Is he on the hot seat if they don't get into the playoff this year?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about a few guys. Kelly was one of them who you would not term as being hot seat right now, right, that are a year away from it.
I feel like that's been the narrative for A&M all these seasons. Well, if you don't lose 18 quarterbacks in 3 years, it wasn't 18, but it was damn near close, right? They kept on losing guys. So A&M seems to be one of those teams that if this doesn't happen, this would have. Eventually, you got to get past those ifs.
Well, yeah, not only that, I mean, I think it's so hard for people to look around the fact, and heck, I've said it myself, Texas 8-4. It's kind of fun to say, but that's not really on Elko. I mean, last year, certainly, but the history of it is not on Coach Elko. And I look at 7-1. They were one of the hottest teams in the country, maybe the hottest in the conference. Now, yeah, they fell flat on their face, but Sarkisian didn't go 7-1, not his first year at Texas. Kiffin, who I think is one of the better coaches, Heupel, not even Nick Saban, not even Kirby Smart. Again, I'm not saying Mike Elko is better than those guys, but I think we kind of need to put our head in that space of just how far he took Texas A&M year 1, and if they take a jump in year 2, they will go to the college football playoff like I'm predicting them to do.
All right, let's go back to the ifs, right? If Le'Veon Moss doesn't go down last year, then I think that season feels different today. Do you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I mean, that was a huge, huge loss for the Aggie offense last year. And, but it's funny because we can highlight running backs. Everybody, I don't understand why everybody's like, not Aggies, but rest of the SEC, they're down on Marcel Reed. I don't think he was the issue. I think the issue was the defense last year.
Thank you for saying that. I've said this on the show often. To me, if you look at Marcel's numbers, they're very similar to DJ Lagway's. The only difference between those two is that Florida won their games at the end of the year, A&M didn't. And why did A&M lose those games? Marcel put them in position to beat the Auburn game multiple times. Okay, they had the possession, they had the lead with a minute left. Same with the USC game, regardless of what you think about that bowl game. There's a couple of games right there that he put them in position to win games, and the defense let them down. If they get those 2 wins, schedule would look different if they beat Auburn. But then I think we're talking about Marcel differently.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And you got to, obviously last year, he wasn't getting any of the first team reps. Now he's getting that. It's not only year 2 for him, it's year 2 for everybody in that offense. So I don't think he's going to be like the top quarterback in the conference, but I certainly think he'll be a top half quarterback in the conference. And I think he's probably one of the most underrated in the entire country.
You look at Coach Elko now. The retention's been fantastic. The ability to keep players that matter on this roster. And I feel like at the end of the day, it's all about if you win or lose. And last year was not good enough. No doubt about it, the way the season ended. But if you can win and do it with a culture, that's how I feel like Elko's doing it.
Man, I'm going to say this about Texas A&M. What drives me nuts is that if you've ever played or you've ever coached a high-level organized sport, you know that every year is different. This is what and there's patterns, right? The 8-4 jokes with A&M and this, that, and the other. There's some coincidentally, you have a pattern of having a similar record for a while. But for people, and it drives me nuts when I see media people that I respect say it because I know they don't believe it. They're like, oh, well, since A&M did this 2 years ago and last year, that they're going to be this year. It's totally different every year. There's new players, there's new coaches, there's a new schedule, right? You try and find ways to tweak things. And so when I look at somebody like Mike Elko, who's only been there a year, and I said this when he got hired, I think it's perfect for A&M, and I feel like I say this all the time with him, but his culture feels more like A&M to me, like gritty and grinding it out and worrying about blocking and tackling, not having, disco balls in the coaching office, not turning it into a TMZ factory. Like Mike Elko is just about ball, and he gets guys in there that love ball and want to do the little things right. That's what's going to be the difference for Texas A&M, and nobody's talking about him. And you know what? I think it's great. I think that's exactly what Mike Elko wants. Everybody's talking about Arch Manning, and I've got a lot of respect for Arch and this, that, and the other. They're talking about Lenora Sellers. They're talking about DJ Lagway. Nobody's talking about Marcel Reed. And it just blows my mind that we're sitting here talking about guys that we haven't even seen play a lot. And yet you have a young guy that comes in last year in a big moment and does some really, really good things. He goes through ups and downs like normal, but I think that's how Mike Elko wants it. And so, when I come out and I'll say, what I believe about A&M, people are like, oh, well, here we go again with A&M's going to be pretty good this year. It just drives me nuts. But I think that's how Elko wants it.
I didn't get to listen to Sankey. So what came out of it?
Oh, man. I mean, he's for NCAA tournament expansion. Congratulations.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want that nonsense. He did talk about how, look, the conversations coming out of the Big 12 media days, Brett Yormark pretty much doubled down, with the 5-11 format.
Yep.
That's what they want. Well, Greg Sankey said, us in the Big 10 control what happens. I mean, he said it. I think at the same time, when he said that him and Tony Petitti have a different view of the college football playoff, I think that says a lot.
That does say a lot. And it seemed like they were aligned at one point, right?
They were aligned at one point before we got into SEC media days, and all the coaches started coming out against the 4 automatic bids. That was not expected. Like at SEC media days, everybody went into that.
The spring meetings?
SEC spring meeting. Yeah, we're starting here on Monday. Spring meetings. Everybody went into that thinking the coaches and the ADs would be on the same page. They weren't. The coaches were saying other things. Lane and Kirby were going off. So what I'm getting at, I think right now where we are at, and with this, I think the Big Ten, sure, they hold everything with the SEC, but at the same time, the SEC is looking at the Big 12 and like, all right, man, we want the same thing you want.
Right.
We'll take 5-11, chill out with the comments though. And so, and Greg Sankey talking about the strength of schedule and how other teams would love to play their 8 or 9 games. Like, I'm tired of hearing about that. Just move the 9 games already.
Just move it and get it over with.
It sucks for the fans. The fans are the one paying. You're paying for season tickets and you're playing Sisters of the Poor, twice a year. The fans don't deserve that are paying a buckload of money to be able to go to these games. So I think we do get to 9 games here in the future. And I think overall, Greg Sankey just had his spiel that we've heard. Nothing against it. It's just the same old damn thing. And I think that December 1st, that deadline to figure out the CFP, it is looming.
Yeah.
And it'll be here before you know it. So.
All right, that's going to do it for the TexAgs Rewind. Beckham, tell the people what to do.
Like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends, and stay on TexAgs Live all week for SEC Media Days. We're going to be pumping out great content.
Thank you so much. We'll see you mañana.